So ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce this wonderful lady. She is a COO. Does anyone know what that stands for? Yes, she's a Chief Operating Officer. And she's an amazing lady, very, very humble. And you guys are going to have an amazing time by learning a lot from her. So please, ladies and gentlemen, give a warm round of applause to Florence.
Oh, they've got mic. Okay, hi everyone. Can everyone hear me? All right, good afternoon. So my name is Florence. It's so nice to be with everyone today. I always say that it's such a privilege to speak to you guys. Like, it's a Saturday, you don't have to be here, and you're here with us, so thank you. I also want to thank Dean and the lovely lady in green just over there. She's been amazing. Thank you so much, Gloria, for bringing me on. So today what I want to talk about is something that everyone uses. It's a part of life right now, actually. I don't think there's anyone that isn't using social media. That's how essential it is now. But before I go into that, I am Florence. I'm the lead strategist and COO of Rent San & Co. Okay, so yeah, I did the slide and everything so I come up with strategies that work and I implement them seamlessly, if I say so myself. When I'm not working, I'm either traveling or cooking or reading. I enjoy theater. What else do I do for fun? I think that's about it, really. Okay, so I'm going to tell you more about my role and my journey so far, because a lot of you probably will not know who I am, and that's intentional. I don't like to be at the forefront of things. I don't even like to do engagements, but I do it because people need information, and where I am today, if I didn't have information, I wouldn't be at where I am. So I work with hotels. I don't know, anyone read my bio? No? Okay. So yeah, I work with hotels. I worked with the administration of Nigeria, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, under the administration of Goodluck Jonathan. Well, it's a bit weird, like recounting the things you've done. But I have experience that cuts across human resource, social media management, managing people, and strategy. That's my specialty. Okay, so I'm just going to go straight into it. So I'm going to ask a lot of questions and whatnot, but before we go into the depths of it, I just want to talk a little bit about social media and the evolution of social media and why it is important and what social media actually is. I feel like a lot of us, we know social media, we use it, but do we really know the fundamentals around social media? Okay, so I'm just going to ask two people to tell me what they think social media is. So I actually give gifts when people engage with me. So at the end, I'm going to choose one person, and I'm going to give you £100. So if you don't engage and you don't talk back at me, I'm not going to make that transfer. Okay, so it's just an incentive to get you guys to talk. I need energy, okay? I need to know that you guys are listening and you're engaging, all right? All right, so the evolution of social media. So what is social media to you? Two people. Going, okay. Sorry, what's your name? Sorry? Courtney. A platform to share information to a wider audience. Nice, I like that. People to create networks, communities, collectives, and collectives to share information, ideas, messages, and other content such as videos. Two things stand out from this definition. Social media must include online communication, meaning the history of social media cannot begin before the invention and widespread adoption of the internet. Social media depends on user-generated content. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see it. Okay, so I'm on the second point. So one of the two first social media sites were 6 Degrees and Friendster, both of which are no longer around, but they played such an influential role in the start of social media. But I want to focus on the first point, or second point, the key point that says social media depends on user-generated content. So everything I'm going to say today, I always say there are either 2 or 3 different types of people in the room. There are people that absorb the information, and there are people that they absorb it and they do nothing with it. I don't like those kind of people. I like you, but I don't like the fact that you don't make use of the information. Does that make sense? Right. And then there are people that listen, absorb, right? And then they run with it. I love people like that. Let's be friends. I love doers. I love people that just run with things. Like you say one thing to them, they're like, okay, let's go get it, right? They're already researching as you're speaking, like confirming facts and data. Like, is she saying the right things? Like is this right? I hope I'm speaking to a bunch of people like that. I mean, you guys seem like people like that, so hopefully I can see that you guys will move from just listening to action. Rory said a lot of important things today that is so important, and it links in with social media. But I'll go into that later. But what I wanted to say was social media depends on user-generated content. So there will be no social media without us. Social media is important, but we are much more important, okay? So I always like to tell people in sessions that you are bigger than social media. Collectively, we make social media. It's not the other way around. Without us, there would be no social media. So you are important to social media. If we all started deleting our WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and everything, they would lose money and they would lose presence, and the next would move on to the next thing. Does that make sense? So you are important to social media. Now, why am I emphasizing that point? I'm emphasizing that point because social media now is so huge that people forget that without you guys, it's nothing. Does that make sense? Because social media now, statistics reveal that social media brings in different mental illnesses. Have anyone heard about that? So I don't want us to feel like social media is everything. Oh, social media is life. It's important, but you are a lot more important, okay? So I'm gonna move on. So today, social media is an integral part of our lives of people around the world. Overall, there are billions of social media users around the world, and this number is expected to grow over 3 billion by 2021. So I'm gonna move on quickly. All right, so top social media platforms. So I've narrowed it down to these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is it 6? Yeah, 6. But they're obviously, depending on your sector, there'll be a lot more, ones specific to you. So can I get a show of hands? Is everyone in business in this room? If you have a business, can I just see your hand, please? Okay. No, not everyone. Okay, so 9-to-5ers. Do I have 9-to-5ers in the room? Fantastic. Okay. There's nothing wrong with 9 to 5, by the way. I'm not one of those people that will tell you, quit your job and run into the business world. I'm not going to say that. All right. But okay, so everyone engages in some sort of business and works. And okay, great. So social media is, like I said, it's important. But to just make sure that, we get a lot from today's session, I'm going to focus on these key essentials. I feel like these are the core ones that we use. Statistics reveal that these are the core ones we use. So we have Twitter, which was created in March 2006. It distinguished itself by limiting, So it distinguished itself by limiting users to only 140 characters, a policy held until 2017. So today, Twitter uses about 335 million monthly active users. So there's that much people using that specific social media platform. Then we have LinkedIn, which was one of the first social media sites in history, actually. And it's focused on professional networking, allowing people to connect with businesses and social contacts, as well as companies. Today, this is still the primary purpose of LinkedIn. So they've stayed true to their core values. So currently has over 500 million users every month and over 2 million active followers, users every month. Then we have Facebook, which was founded in 2004. I'm sure most of us must know the history of Facebook. Who can tell me something about Facebook randomly?
So Mark Zuckerberg made it what it is today, but it was founded by a group of them. I don't know whether it was MIT or Stanford.
Yes.
But it was one of those universities, and it started off as a university connecting platform.
Harvard, yes.
Before it became what we use it for today.
Today. Nice. Thank you so much. Anyone else have anything else to add aside from what she says? No? Okay. All right. So Facebook has billions of active users, and the level of people using Facebook is just under 30% of the entire global population. So while a lot of us may feel like Facebook is not it anymore, because there was that time that it was Facebook. It wasn't Instagram, it wasn't Twitter, it wasn't LinkedIn, no one cared for anything else but Facebook. Facebook has still got it. So just because we feel like it's not it, it is. And I feel like because we feel and we don't go by statistics, we lose out a lot of sales on Facebook. A lot of us in the room that are in business, or if you're just trying to use your social media more intentionally and grow your social media platform, you may find that you focus on Instagram and Twitter and you struggle with your follow count. And you're like, why is it not growing? I'm doing everything everyone told me to do, but it's not growing. It could just be your audience isn't on that platform that you think it is. So it's important that you really know which platform is for you and is for your audience. Does that make sense? Am I making sense, everyone? Yeah. Thank you. All right, so we have Instagram, which was launched in 2010. It separated itself from the competition by focusing exclusively on videos and photos and allowing photos to be framed in a square restriction, which was lifted in 2015. It has over 500 million daily active users. So Instagram is currently in right now, and statistics show it's going to still keep being in, okay? And then we have podcasting, which was previously known as audio blogging, which I found interesting when I was preparing for this. I was like, audio blogging? Makes sense that they would call it audio blogging because you're basically narrating things down. Does that make sense? All right, so it has its roots back dating the 1980s, which was very interesting for me as well. But it became more prominent when the iPod was released, which was around 2004. Then we have WhatsApp, which was founded in 2009. And we have over 300 million WhatsApp users. They use the app every single day, which I find very interesting. Okay, but the interesting thing about WhatsApp is it's banned in 12 countries as well. Anyone know some other countries? China. Okay, I like Joy. She's responding to me. Anyone else know one of the countries, sorry? Yes. Okay, anyone else? No. Russia. I have to check, I'm not sure, but I think it is one of the countries that it's banned in. Okay, then we have YouTube, which was founded in 2005, and we have billions of people that use YouTube every single day. YouTube gets over 30 million visitors per day. So each day they get 30 million people just going on their page, which I think is phenomenal. And, sorry? I can't hear. Yes, so they need to update things, they need to make things better, they have different versions of things. And so we have version 2.19.24, and that's for WhatsApp. So the WhatsApp that everyone's currently using in this room. Everyone have WhatsApp in this room? Everyone, yeah, right. So the WhatsApp, we're currently on version 2.19.24, and I find that interesting. And the reason why I'm gonna stop on that is because like I said, social media is always going to evolve. That's why I started by talking about the evolution of social media. There isn't, it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of a thing. And in the same way, social media is always going to develop and grow, and it's going to always be upgraded. Who remembers the time Instagram just went funny, and just like people couldn't upload, and everyone was freaking out, and it was like, you know, and then started a conversation of, you need to get a website. And so you need to make sure you do what Murphy says, because you do need a website. Because it's an app, it's not, I don't want to say it's not reliable, but it's always going to go through upgrade. The same way the human body has to consistently look after itself, eat and just grow and look after itself. It's the same way social media is. Social media isn't something that you just build and you just leave it there and it just looks after itself. There are people actively sitting behind the scenes working on those things so that you can have a pleasant experience on it. And in that same way, I feel like it's very important that we remember that when using the app. So there's the psychology of social media, which is what I'm really trying to do. I find that when I correct people's mindset on social media, your experience when you use it is a lot better. It's the same way when you know how your body is supposed to function, you have a better lifespan. So they tell you, eat well. Have the salad that the lovely Marby's Kitchen brought us today, okay? Because they tell you that you need to have 1 to 5 a day, right? So it's the same way with social media. It's very important that you are consistently, you don't allow it to control you. Remember what I said in the beginning, that without you, there isn't social media. So while you feel like, oh my God, my business is gonna die if I don't have a lot of followers. So I don't have a lot of followers on Instagram. I don't want to either, because I find that what you get now is a lot of audience and no one wants to engage. And they can see your pictures. It's not as if they're not seeing it. They just either can't be bothered, or I feel like people feel like likes is like a prestige thing now. Like, I'm not gonna like it. Like, have you guys experienced that? Like, some of us even do it. Like, you've read the post, you thought makes sense, but to just like it and comment, you just, can't be bothered. Which is fine. I do it sometimes. But the app doesn't control you. You control the app. So version 2, 1924. So there's always going to be a version of everything. It's not static. And I always like to say, we're human beings. We're always in transition. We're not a human being. We don't just stop where we are. It's the same way as social media. So that was just a quick thing on that. All right, so we're going to go into the nitty-gritty. So if you're making notes and you're writing, I'm calling this part of what we're going to discuss thriving. So I'm going to go into a lot of details about a lot of things. So if I'm going too fast, am I going too fast, by the way, guys? I find that people say, Florence, you speak really fast, and I try to slow it down. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is have a plan. So we're all here, most of us, because we want to make money on social media. When I was preparing for this, I was trying to think of how much have I made on social media. I was like, I've made a lot. And that's me being honest. I won't put a number to it, but I've made a lot. And I'm grateful because there's so many of us doing what I do on social media. I feel blessed to be chosen when people choose me to work with me or work with us. I don't feel like, yeah, we're one of the best, so you should work with us anyway. I feel like that's the wrong attitude to have. Ego is the enemy of success. And so the minute you start to feel like, well, I'm the best, and I mean, you can say you're the best, but it's very important that you remember that people have the ability to choose. And so the same way you've chosen to all be here today, it's the same way they can choose to work with you. So have a plan on social media. Start with a plan. Every good business strategy starts with a good plan. Social media for small business is no different. So social media is easy to use. It's free. So because of that, it's so easy to just open an app and just dive in and just start posting. I find that most people don't actually read the tools around social media. It's when we get a new update, like the Insta stories. There was a time there wasn't Insta stories. I found that through someone else saying, oh yeah, there's a new update on social media. We don't actually check, when they send us an email or they send us a notification, we don't really go into looking how it works. We just realize, oh yeah, there's this new thing, let me go and just post. And that's the wrong thing to do. Excuse me. I feel like the same way when you buy a table and you just know to read the manual, it's the same way a lot of us have to go back home today, tomorrow, whenever you're free, and learn how to use your social media. You think you're using it right, but the truth is you may not be using it right. Just posting and just having a laugh and just, it's fine. But if you are trying to make sales and you're trying to grow something on social media, so you may not be in business, but maybe you're interested in blogging, or you're interested in writing, or you just enjoy taking pictures, and you just want people to see your work. There is a way to do things, okay? So go back and read how to use Instagram. It sounds so strange, but I promise you, you will learn something new. I know it's a bit tedious, like, why am I gonna read how to use an app that I've been using for the past 6 years? Like, oh my God. But try it, please. So if you, I function by to-do list, so if you're making notes, please write a to-do list down, because I'm gonna give a few things that I want you guys to do. It is up to you if you do it. I hope you will do it. Okay, so have a plan. Go back and figure out how to use your Instagram. Read about your Facebook. Literally, Google is your best friend. Google it, how to use Facebook, how to use Snapchat. I love the fact that the two Florence in the room are sitting together, and I'm a Florence as well. Hi, Florence. Okay, so I was talking about having a plan. All right, so yes, so when you figure out how to use the app, don't just dive in. Have a plan. So I intentionally do not want to have a lot of followers. So I don't do things or try to do things that will like get me a lot of followers. My page is private. People like my coach and my mentors like, Florence, you shouldn't have your pages private. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. And I'm like, I know why I'm on social media. So one thing I would say to you is know why you are on social media. What is the purpose behind it? What is your intention? Because when you know this, you can be intentional about, sorry, do you have a question? Yes. Sorry? My personal page, just to talk to my friends and post my pictures and see what's going on and catch up with things. That's literally it. I show my work once in a while, I talk about things that matter to me. That's it. And then the business page, well, that's business, right? It's to showcase the work that we do, showcase reviews, and interact with our community on different platforms. So that could be the purpose of, did I answer your question?
Business page is not private then?
No, it's not. So if you have a business and you have a business page on any socials, it shouldn't be private. I was referring to my personal page. People still tell me you need to make it on private, but because I know what I'm on my private page for, I don't feel the pressure when people tell me do this and don't do that. I mean, I understand sometimes it's not good because people want to check me out and see what I really do. It's like, why do I have to click request? But it's because I don't actually, yeah, you can interact with the business kind of a thing. But that's me personally. Does that make sense? Remember what I said in the beginning about you making social media and not social media making you. It's very, very important. So know what you're on social media for. Have a plan. And because that way you're going to be intentional. So if you know that you're on social media and you're a photographer, you're a wedding photographer, for instance, and your key focus is, I always say to people, you can either decide that you just want to be known or you want to make money. Or you can decide, I want to do both. I always say to people, there are times for that. So you can decide that, okay, this year my focus is to just get more visibility. That way, when you have that focus, you're able to come up with a social media plan around gaining more visibility. Everyone understand what I'm saying? Okay, so have a plan. So set up a social media goal and objective. I don't know if okay, yeah. So set up a social media goal and objective. Research the competition. A lot of people like to say, I know it's a thing that we all say now, we say, your biggest competition is yourself. You know, your biggest competition is your ego and laziness and who you were yesterday. It was heard, everyone. Has anyone heard? Yeah, I agree. But you really need to check out the people doing the same things as you on social media. Now, it's not so that you can copy them. Seeing what they do It could either inspire you, and inspiration shouldn't lead you to replication. It should lead you into more creativity. So don't see how amazing this design is and think, I'm just going to copy exactly what it is. I mean, if you do, you can then reference the place and say, oh, I copied it from this place and whatnot. But what most people do is they go and look at what the other people say. If I'm a hairstylist, I go on the hairstylist page and I look at everything she's doing and I go and do the same things. I wouldn't advise that. I would say be inspired, but let it lead you to do more for your brand. Does that make sense? Okay, so researching is important. You get to see how people engage with them, how they engage with their community. Each brand has its own unique brand messaging. It has its own unique brand identity, and it has its own brand vision, goals, and inspiration. So make sure you know what's going on. Okay, so what are people talking around hairstyling? What's currently in? What's currently going out? Because fashion, hair, things get recycled. So once upon a time, it was cool to do weave, where you weave your hair in. Now it's not so cool to do that. You have to have a frontal, and you have to say what lace. So sorry, the guys don't understand what that means. And so if you don't really know, so there's that, and then there's nails, and you have to do mats, and then, but there was once a time where it was not really cool to have like really long nails. But now it's like when you have really short nails, people are like, oh my God, your nails are so short. Like, is that okay? Kind of a thing. And you're like, yeah, kind of a thing. Okay, but does that point make sense? Do you guys know what to do? Okay, so conduct a social media audit. If you're already using social media, now is the time to take a step back and evaluate what you've done so far. I find that most people don't want to do this, or they do it and they do it passively, right? Go back on your page. If you have 1,000 posts, go right down. I always tell clients to go literally spend a day just planning. So not just on social media, but for your business. Social media, if social media is part of your core focus, then great, okay? But before I go further, I just want to say, social media is a platform. Most people now tend to just build their business around social media. Social media should be an overflow of something that exists. If this building didn't exist, there would be nothing to post on social media. There'd be nothing for us to talk about, right? So it's very important that you build a life, a business, and customers outside of social media. So get a website. I cannot emphasize this enough. Blog, go to events like this. Find out when the next one is. Speak to people. Interact with people. Build a community. Because when you do have a social media account and you post all this amazing content and professional pictures and you do all these amazing things that you're supposed to do, but no one's buying your product, no one's investing in your business, no one likes your pictures, no one comments, it can be very discouraging. I've met people that literally don't want to post their work because they get anxiety, because they feel like people won't like their picture or people won't comment. Or they've had a situation in the past where they've posted and no one liked it. But they have 1,000 followers. And so people start saying things like, did you buy your followers? Like, because no one's engaging, you have 1,000, but only 21 people's liking your pictures. And you feel it can be upsetting, because if you put a lot of effort into your work, you want it to be appreciated, okay? So, but if you have a community of people, and I know Rory spoke about this, if you have people that know you, engage with you, use you all the time, they're going to like your pictures. They're going to comment, right? They're going to say, oh my God, that was actually an amazing event. You're not just going to, what's the word? Just scroll past. I read a quote that said, it's so funny how some friends just scroll past your success on social media. And I felt, makes sense, because sometimes you've just said, oh, I just got married, or I just gave birth, or I just got a new job, and then you don't even get a lot of likes, or Like the engagement is just whack. And most people say, okay, algorithms, I will go into that later. Or you say no engagement. But most times it's regular people like us that we've just decided, well, it's not interesting enough for me to like it, okay? So if you put all your confidence in social media, it can affect your self-esteem. And there's people that they get a lot of engagement and that builds their self-esteem. So you hear of those people that on social media, they're different people. And in real life, they can't talk to anyone. So on Insta stories, on Facebook, on YouTube, they're like really cool. But then you meet them in person, they don't really know how to talk to people. So it can go the opposite way, okay? So conduct a social media audit. Know what you're doing right, know what you're doing wrong. Research, I can't say this enough. Step back and say to yourself, remember what I talked about having a purpose or knowing what your intent is on social media. So each one of you need to ask yourself, why am I on social media? So WhatsApp, I'm on WhatsApp because I want to interact with my friends, my family, and some of my clients, okay? iMessage, friends, clients, the same thing. Easy, I can get information, it's very easy. That's the purpose of it, so there's no two ways about it. Who remembers the time where WhatsApp status was a big thing? Like, we always wanted to update our status, and I was like, oh wow, I have to do this. But now no one really cares. No one cares. So what am I trying to say? Things change, and you have to adapt, okay? So this isn't part of my point, but conducting a social media audit, it's important that you learn how to adapt. But if you don't know what's going on around you, and you can't adapt to the times that we're living in, you find that you're not growing as much as you should, okay? So find inspiration. So don't just look at the people on Instagram doing what you're doing and be inspired. Attend industry events. So one thing I tell my colleagues and myself to do, sometimes go on Eventbrite and all these events profiles and search events in your industry. So if you're in photography or wedding, search wedding on Eventbrite. And you see that different types of events across England is going to come up on Eventbrite because most people use Eventbrite for their events. So you get to meet new people, and there is a life outside of our community. I cannot emphasize that point enough. It's so, so important that you don't just sit on social media and just focus on social media. Go out. Because when you go out, you come to an event like this, you can snap it. You can say, I was at the EVN forum. I met such an amazing man like Corey. I met Dean. I met Florence's. I met Aji, you know. So it's important, so be inspired. So I've come to this event, and the entire process of me being invited, I loved it because it was so excellent. I didn't have to strive to get any information out of them. I wasn't confused at any point in time. Everything was done so well. And I came in, and that was the first thing I said to her. I said, this is excellent. It's so excellent. And she said, oh, thank you. And I'm like, no, I'm not trying to flatter you because that's what guest speakers are supposed to do, make you feel good. I was like, no, this is really excellent. But now, if I didn't come, I wouldn't have solid content to say about EVN. Does that make sense? Okay, so find inspiration. So me being here today inspires me to make sure that whatever I do it exceptionally well, right? So sometimes inspiration doesn't have to be glam and huge crowds and amazing lights and all these big things. It can be the little things, like how well you attend to people, how caring you are, and you can use that in your customer service. You can use that in how you speak to people on social media. I find that most people on social media, it's just because it's so fast and it's like quick time. You can just speak to people anyhow you want. But you realize that words matter, and it's important that you treat the people on social media like you would want to be treated as well. Does that make sense? All right, so find inspiration, conduct a social media audit, research the competition, and set social media goals and objectives. So setting the goals, I find that can be daunting for some people because it's like, how do I set a social media plan? It doesn't have to be anything extraordinary, like I said. So if you're a hairstylist, you want to make money. So my goal is to make money. You don't care about visibility. You don't care about anything else. You just want to make money. The fact that you know that's what you want to achieve on social media gives you an idea of the steps you have to take to achieving that. Am I talking sense? Yes. Yeah? Okay. So let me use another example. So if you're a florist and you say, okay, I need visibility. Without visibility, I can't make sales, right? So what do? You have to, so the goal would be, or the objective would be visibility. Then you come up with things that can get you visibility. So attend events and give out my business card to people, or volunteer to decorate this place with your services. So people here, let's say my sister's getting married or you're getting married now, you're like, oh wow, it's amazing. Fantastic example, Marby's Kitchen. You've tasted her food now, so you know firsthand what that feels like and what it looked like, right? So when someone says, I'm looking for someone that can cook for me, you will think of her. Why? Because she has cooked for us today, okay? So that's a plan. So in her plan, she's not just gained visibility, she's gained sales and authority as well, because now people can vouch for the food. People can say it tastes amazing, right? Okay. And so let me just add, it's okay to do free stuff, but not all the time, because free stuff sometimes, I know people say don't do free stuff, and I can't tell you when to stop doing free stuff. There's some levels that even if you get at, one of my clients has 2.6 million followers, and she charges a lot if you want to post on her page, and rightfully so. But I guarantee if the President of the United States said, hey, can you post this? And she likes what he's asking her to post, and she finds value, and it synchronizes with her audience, and it could benefit her as well. Even if they want to pay her, she probably will be like, oh, it's okay, I'll do it for free, okay? So you need to know when to do free stuff. There isn't like a equation on, you have to, I would say, know the kind of audience it is. Some free stuff, I just wonder, like, don't do it, it's not worth it. And even if you do it right. So some people, they do free stuff, and then no one finds out that they did it. So you find that everyone's like, oh, I didn't know, because you didn't position yourself well. So it's important that you put all these things in your plans. So you can say, in the first quarter of the year, I'm going to do one free stuff just to gain more experience, to challenge myself. If I'm a hairstylist, I'm going to do one. I'm going to collaborate with Temi and do her hair for free. And in return, Temi has to go on her page and do an Insta story and say, hi, my hair is so gorgeous today. I love it. Oh my God. And do all that stuff, like, you know. And what happens is the people on her page will be influenced and they will come to you, right? Okay, so that's all like little plans that you could include in your social media plan. All right, so let's move on. So we're talking about thriving on social media right now. So decide which platforms are right for you. Don't make assumptions about where your audience spends their time online. Remember, I said this in the beginning. Don't assume that your audience isn't on Facebook, because 30% of the population apparently is still on Facebook and not all on Instagram, which feels weird, because I always say social media can be a bubble. Because you're in it, it's like being in this room right now, you can't not know what is going on outside. You may hear it, but you cannot physically see what is going on. In the same way, when you're always on Instagram, always on Twitter, always on Snapchat, you find that you get so comfortable using the specific app, or when WhatsApp gets an update and they change like the direction of things, you're like, oh, I hate this, I don't like it. After a while, what happens? You get used to it. It becomes normal. You get desensitized. It's just, you don't even remember the time where it wasn't like that. I remember when Snapchat changed their layout and they lost a lot of money because Kylie was like, I don't like it, no, and their stock went down because a very influential person said, and they said they would not change it back, that we would get used to it, and we did. We're still using it, some of us. Okay, so find out the apps, the platforms that are right for you. Your instincts might tell you should skip Facebook and focus on Instagram and Snapchat if you're targeting millennials, but data shows that 82% of millennials still use Facebook, right? So, do you guys get what I'm trying to say? All right, so know your audience. So using social media for small business let you micro-target your audience, but first you need to understand who your audience is. By compiling data on your current customers and then digging deeper with social media analytics, you develop a solid picture of who's buying from you and who's already interacting with you online. Then you can revisit your social media plan and include ways to reach more people just like them. Right, so when I was doing this, I was like, okay, so let me put myself in your shoes, listening to me talk. I don't know if I sound okay or not, but I hope I do, right? I'm like, how do I know my audience? That's a real question. Like, how do I know who I'm talking to? So I always say to people, imagine, I wish I had I know you guys offered me the option. Draw them out, like literally, if you can draw, you don't even have to draw. Just imagine a stick person, just scribble. Put a hair, and imagine your ideal customer. Who do you want to use your services? Think about where the kind of shops they would shop. Are they like the primer kind of girl? Are they like the new look kind of girl? Or like, are they just strictly Zara? Or are they more like, I can only shop at Harrods kind of a person? Like, who is that person, right? What kind of hairstyles would they wear? Where do they get their nails done? I'm focusing on women a lot. Where do they buy their wristwatch? Are they kind of like do-it-yourself kind of a person, or they like to be helped? So really, really visualize your target audience. Don't just think about them as something that doesn't exist, because they exist. They're people like you and I that want to make sales. I need hair on my hair so that I can look pretty, or to extend the length of my hair. I'm a real human being. So if the lovely lady over there, sorry, what's your name? Sorry, I can't. Laura. Hi, Laura. So if Laura wants to sell hair to me, right, Laura's going to need to know what's going to suit me. So when I come to Laura, I'm like, oh, Laura, I want to order hair. Laura's like, I really think curly is going to look really nice on you. And you have this lovely skin tone, that blonde, just what I mean. But if she couldn't visualize who her ideal customers are, she wouldn't be able to sell to me. So meaning when she posts on social media, she would post different colors. She wouldn't just post a Caucasian lady. She wouldn't just post a dark-skinned lady. She would post all types of races to project that she caters to different audiences and not just a specific audience. I remember someone said to me, oh, Florence, you project only a certain amount of clients that you work with. I said, really? Then I went on my page and I sat down with my social media team and I was like, oh, guys, we actually do. We portray a certain type. So it's important. So in our plan this year, we were like, okay, we need to show this type of people as well, because we were only projecting a specific type of people. We were only projecting that we only work with women, and like we only work with married women, and like single women sometimes apparently felt like they couldn't contact me specifically to book me because they felt I worked with a lot of married women. And I was like, oh. And then I was like, no, that's not true. I have a lot of single women. I don't understand why she would say that. And I got really defensive. But then I sat down and I went through my page. And I'm always like, oh, with Mrs. This and with Mrs. that, and Mrs. This just got me this, and Mrs. This just said this. And it's like, yo, you are telling people that you work with a lot of misses, okay? So project what you want to attract. Okay, the lovely lady in blue, I love your blazer. Sorry, how do you say your name? Tisakili, lovely. I love her curly hair. So if I wanted to get the same curly hair and have the same look, what will I do? I'll go to her. And peradventure, maybe she sells hair, I will probably say, oh, how much is it? Now, she has an option to either lose me or gain a new client by me just asking that question. But if she didn't have the presentation, if she didn't wear the hair, I'm not going to be attracted to go to her and say that. So sometimes let your content actually speak for itself. VNV Live, when he showed me his page, I was like, wow, you're the people that do the crazy designer, nice things on the floor that I've always wondered, like, what it takes, and if it's like huge people that do it and they come in with like fireworks and all these things. And he showed me how I do that. I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like the beaut stage, beaut set, I find it really cool. And it's once an idea and now it's a reality. And he does that. And I was like, but if his work didn't, reflect that image I had in mind of what those wedding backgrounds look like, I wouldn't think he knew what he was doing, or maybe he was just navigating through it. But he sold me on it because it looked so amazing, right? Okay, so know your audience. So he would target corporate people that want to do huge events. Like Richard Branson could hire him to do his events. Why? Because he does stuff like that. Weddings would use him because they always want to get their A weds B and C weds dad and B blah, blah, blah. Okay. All right, so before I go on, I'm going to ask questions. All right, so I'm going to pick someone on a random. Florence, number 2, the one that was with her phone right now. So far, what have you learned? Just one thing you've learned so far, please.
One thing that I've learned so far is that I should give out what I want to get back.
Give out what you want to get back. Awesome. Why did that stand out to you?
It stands out to me because I was just thinking about the postings that I do on my page. I sometimes sort of like deal with clients that are not exactly my ideal clients, but then I sort of like compare them with what I post on my page, and I realize that there's quite a mix.
Right.
All different kinds of stuff. Some things I don't really need to post.
Yeah.
To work on them.
Yeah.
I could just select what it is that I want.
Right.
Attract what I want.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so which brings me to, you can have a curated feed, which is where you have like a 3, you know how you match your feed. You say, I'm going to post, so if you're a makeup artist, one of my clients, ex-clients, Anita Browse Beauty, anyone heard of her? Anita Browse Beauty? Okay. So she does this interesting thing where she would post this side of your face, the front, and then another side, or maybe a video. And then it's the same, Instagram has the 3, right? So she does that all the time. So literally you go on her page, you see like the same picture but different angles of it. And in a way for her, that's like a portfolio. So literally when customers want to use her, they go on her page and say, I want that look, I want that look. And it's easy for them to find it. It's curated. So that takes time. So if you're a hairstylist, you could also do that as well because it's a very clear way of showing your work. If you do weddings, you do catering, you could show the same bulgur wheat. You could show it on the tray before people start digging in. Then you could show people demolishing it. And then you could show the empty plate, like a journey. So people can like journey with you. So you have some makeup artists or hairstylists, they do before they've done your hair, right? And then they do the process of doing your hair, and then they do the finished work. Or some people, they do, I've done her hair since 9 a.m. It's now 10 p.m., and it's still in place, right? So you as a customer, you're thinking, oh my God, yes, I definitely want that effect on my wedding day. I don't want a situation where I have to pay you to stay with me for the entire day. I know that if I book you for just 2 hours in the morning, it can last me throughout the entire day. Maybe a little bit will go out of place, but I can manage it myself. But then you get the ones that are like, no, I want, if anything just like goes out of place, I need you to come and I need you to just like, do you see what I mean? But different clients, different needs. But if you don't understand the needs of your audience, you can't really give that to them. But your feed, your Instagram, your Snapchat, your Twitter, whichever account you have, can do that for you. And remember I said choose the one that you want to focus on. I always advise people to, there's so many. I would advise choose 2 or 3 and just focus on it. Even 3 is too much if you're still finding your way and you're trying to grow your audience. Choose 2 or 1 and just really focus on it. Get your followers up, get your engagement up, get your community up, and you realize that once you're able to achieve a certain level of community and engagement on that specific platform, if you tell your community, I'm moving to Twitter, you will have people that will follow you on there. They will create, do you have a question? Oh, they will create an account because this person that I love following on this platform told me to go to this platform, right? So choose 2 and dominate it. Get used to it, focus on it, grow it. Don't try to do too many platforms all in one go. You don't have to have Facebook, you don't have to have Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and everything. I don't think it's necessary. So know what you're trying to do and think, where are my audience mostly on? And then focus on those 2. And then just work and build community with them, okay? So be authentic. I'm going to read this out. So for as far back as you can remember when you were a kid, you made friends by forming connection with someone, whether it be a shared interest or some other common or relatable trait. In business, it's very similar. When you've earned trust, that you've earned and then you've earned business. And that's laying the groundwork for sustainable business. When a business or brand relates authentically to prospective customers, it's generally because they trust them, and more importantly, they share common interest or even pain point. If you manage to get a group of these fans, then it's like you've cultivated your own very sharing section that will virally tell their friends and family and so on. It's learning how to mix today's social media with the old school way of going out and making personal connections. So I got this from the internet, and it really stood out to me, so I put it on the slide. Because it's so true, right? The same way in this room, you're going to be attracted to some person. Like, you're going to gravitate towards Joy, right? And you're going to go up to Joy and say, oh, hi, Joy, what do you do? And you're going to talk to her, and you're going to really, you conversate with her, and you get her number, and do you see what I mean? It's the same on social media. A lot of us don't engage with people, but we want engagement. It makes no sense. So if you did the to-do list I told you to, right, make it a thing to actually engage with people in your social network. Don't just like their post, comment, repost their stuff. You don't have to be their friend. You don't have to know them. Be careful, because you don't want to not know about someone's service and then you vouch for them, and then someone in your community goes and uses them, and they come back and they're like, you recommended this person and it turned out to be absolutely trash. Oh my God. And you're like, I was just trying to be nice because Florence said we should do that. So there's actually this thing going on now with some PR companies where before they take you on or whatever, they'll tell you they need to experience your service. They'll say, you need to plan a small scale event first. Let's see how you do things before we recommend you to Vogue and recommend you to all these people. Oh, you're a hairstylist. Okay, no worries. Can we see you do someone's hair? And some people automatically just think, oh, you're trying to get free stuff from me. No, forget this. I'm not doing it. And it's mostly, really? Ooh, okay. All right, we get the point, right? Yeah. So build relationships. It's all in the same point. So content. Social images drive real-world action. A lot of people have made travel plans or visited a restaurant based on an image or a video a friend shared on socials. Visuals are very important, okay? Above all, be sure that your social posts offer value. If all you do is pitch and sell, that's very little motivation for people to follow you. Remember, social marketing is all about building relationships. Be human, be honest, provide great content. You can't fake it, okay? You can't do it all, and there's no reason to try. Reach out to your audience in the places where they've already been spending time online. Focus on using 1 to 2 channels well, at least to start, and then expand. So we all know Shade Room, Instablog Niger. So there's some people that they get their businesses from the comment section. So when a topic is going on or someone says something, like maybe they're like a life coach or something, or maybe an event happened and it went wrong, people in that industry will go under the comment section and leave a very critical opinion. And what happens is that other people reading the comments can see. And when you make sense, they're like, oh, this sounds like someone that knows what they're talking about. They can follow you. So it's a real way to engage real audience. So go where your conversation is, use the right tools, track and refine your performance, monitor and respond to all social media conversations around your business. So like pictures, like posts, and so on. So algorithms, quickly. On Facebook now because they feel like it's a huge problem being seen. Like I can't be seen because of the algorithms. It's so messed up. So because of time, I would say one of the best ways to get ahead of social media in terms of algorithms is to either try influencer marketing if you don't want to spend money on sponsored posts. Everyone who knows Gary Vee here? Yeah. So I went to one of his events last year, and he came on for like 40 minutes, and what he said was, use social media ads before everything shouts, you know how Gary Vee is. But anyway, influencer marketing is expensive because if you want to use the top, like Patricia Bryant, all these people charge millions and whatnot. So you can just, I feel like there is 3 tiers of influencers. There are the top ones, and there are people like you and I, right? And then people that have maybe like 5,000, 10,000, and you may feel like, oh, well, they're not going to do much for my brand because they don't have millions or hundreds, but you find that they will probably get you more customers than the ones with millions. So sponsor influencers live broadcast, host an account takeover, sponsor influencer post, and create influencer pod. So basically you gather a bunch of influencers or thought leaders in the industry, and you get them to review your products, review your services, and then you can use that to grow your audience and grow your sales, okay? So yeah, I talked about that, so we'll move on. Okay, sponsored posts, are they worth it? I would say yes, but you need to know how to do it right. A lot of people do it, but you don't know how to do it right. Again, research. Google is your best friend. Time won't permit me to go into it as to the details of why it's so important, but it can work for you and it may not work for you. But if you don't try, you'll never know. And trying once is not really trying. You have to try over a period of time doing different things, okay? Social media and brand strategy. Okay, so this is quite in-depth because I specialize in brand strategy. So I'm just going to move on. I'm going to talk about it, but I'm just going to relate it in terms of social media. So brand strategy, in essence, in simple terms, is a brand plan. Your business, whatever you're doing with your life, you need a plan. You can't just wake up one day and decide, I'm going to be a doctor. You have to go to medical school. It's very important. So before you go to medical school, you need to get certain grades. You need to do certain things. With your brand, you need to have a plan. Remember I talked about knowing your intention on social media. If your brand is supposed to make people feel happy, or make people think twice before they make a decision, you need to make sure that your social media strategy is in line with your overall brand purpose. So EVN Live, I know they probably do more, so I don't want to say what they do and not get it right. But EVN Live does what, please, Dean?
So there's EVN, there's VNV Live, it's a bit confusing.
So VNV Live, sorry, quickly.
VNV Live does production
For events, fantastic. So that's their main goal, right? So social media strategy would be they need to create a plan around production. So they need to put their work out there. They need to do more events, because if they don't do events, they can't be anything for you guys to see on social media. So social media plan in relation to brand strategy it's interlinks, right? So you need to just identify the overall goal that you want for your business, right? And then, your social media has to reflect that, okay? Make sense? Patience. It takes time. You cannot rush it. Like I said in the beginning, I have a lot of people that I know personally that they don't post, or they don't like social media, they deleted their Instagram, or they just feel insecure on social media, or they won't say their opinion on social media because they feel like it won't matter, it's not going to go anywhere because they don't have a lot of followers, or they feel like their business isn't going to grow because they don't have a lot of followers. It doesn't come like this, especially because of how Instagram is so noisy right now. You need to be patient. And sometimes you need to be patient by not just waiting but making sure you're doing the right things. Sometimes you may have been patient, but you were on the wrong path, you were doing the wrong thing. But now that you're doing the right thing, be patient with it. And do it consistently over time. Okay, do it, don't just do it for 1 year and then you stop and you're like, oh, it's not working, oh my God, I sponsored ads, I used influencers, I went to events, I did this, I did that, and it's not working. Keep doing that over time. Over time. So it might take you 10 years, but it took someone 1 year to do it, right? But be patient, okay? So, challenge yourself. Take on a social media challenge. So, who knows Chari's hair? Or heard of Chari's hair? Right. So she currently did this hair that I'm wearing right now. The weaving service from 311. I'm not shouting anyone out, but I guess I am. All right. So when she did that, I said to her, "We've been doing this thing called the 35 days of Chari's hair, which if you go on her page, you see that for each day she goes on her mannequin and creates a new look." And I said, "What inspired you to do that? And you've been consistent." I've been watching you. She's like, oh, it's been so hard. But I love the fact that she said this, and she said, each time I do it, I learn a new level of discipline. I grow in my craft. I learn more about myself and about my sector, and I get better and I get faster. Right? So challenging yourself. So with her doing that, social media holds her accountable. Because you know what? If she started and said, I'm going to do a 30-day challenge, and then just stopped, we may not say anything to her. But guess what? We notice. So if you say you're going to do 12 days, if you're a life coach, and you want to inspire people, you want more people to use your services, and you say, I'm going to do a post for the next 30 days, talking about different ways to manage stress and manage life, and then on the 10th day you get tired because you feel like no one's liking, no one's engaging, you just stop. People notice. There's a lady called Paloma, she's an international hairstylist, and she challenged herself on social media that she would make a different braided hairstyle for 365 days, and she successfully did it. And at first people laughed at her, but she was like, what are you doing? Like, no one's gonna care. After a while, we're gonna lose interest. And they did. Sometimes she'd get no likes, sometimes she'd get a lot of likes. And after she did that, Cosmopolitan, every single celebrity you can think of, female, she has worked with them. Because after that, bloggers started getting involved. People started contacting her. Platforms started saying, we want you to create content for us. We know that you can do this. We know that you're consistent. And it opened up her business so well. So I want to encourage you, whatever sector you're in, if you're a writer, if you're a shoemaker, you're a jewelry maker, you make scarves, you make florals, challenge yourself on social media. Don't just be content with just posting and just getting on with the whole vibe on social media. Okay? The future of social media. So this is my last slide. So I did it. But I couldn't do the whole engagement thing that I really wanted, and I've already given out £100. Alright, so I don't know how I'm going to choose now. But I'll just let Dean and Kalanifa to choose someone in the room, and I will make the transfer. So someone randomly in it today. Okay, because I didn't really engage anyone. Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Rory, for answering my question, but that was in a lot of decades still. But why is this important? Because like I said in the beginning, things change and you have to be adaptable. So don't just be content. Educate yourself in your field. Like I said, Google, YouTube is your best friend. There's a lot of free resources. learn how to do things, and remember that social media is just an overflow of what you already do. Social media is not it. And to make sales on social media, I've talked about so many different things today. I don't know which one stood out to you or which one you're going to apply. But overall, make sure that you have something outside of social media. Because like I said, the version 219, if the version decided to crash today, you would have nothing, right? So build something outside of social media so that when you are on the platform, you have a lot to offer and you can make more from it. And these are some of the tools that I've applied over the past 7 years and it's gotten me to where I am and it's taken me to where I want to go. And I hope that once you guys apply this, it will help you. Thank you guys so much for listening to me and giving me your afternoon. I really appreciate it.